Hi, I'm Laura and welcome to the channel. Well, today we're going to talk about the relationships between women, but more importantly, the fact that women are so hard on each other. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to say that I think women are harder on each other than we are on men. Well, this is Smart Women, Smart Conversation. I hope you'll click like and subscribe to the channel. We take a break maybe twice a week and talk about the issues that affect older women as we get to those golden years. So it's been interesting to me. I started my YouTube channel about 4 months ago. I made my first video public. I had been posting things. I've shared that I left elected office about 3 years ago, and I wrote a book. I published it right after I left office. It is called Walking in My Shoes, A Woman's Story of Leadership. And I got halfway through writing that book, and what was really on my mind, what was really bugging me, is that I wanted to write about the relationship that women have with each other and how that affects us as we get older, as we get into business, as we may find success, as we may need friends. Maybe we're ill, maybe we're going through a family tragedy, but that ever-changing landscape of friendship, and how can we set a better example for the generations of women to come. Most of us have younger women in our life, whether they're our daughters, our nieces, a neighbor's daughter, someone we teach, someone we mentor. There are young women out there who our paths are crossing with, and how can we do a better job of setting a great example? So I made my videos public. And I decided that this was what I wanted to talk about. And I was hopeful that there was a community of other women out there that wanted to acknowledge that not all our friendships with other women go well. But what I find so interesting is it's okay for you to have relationships with men. I mean, if I look back to when I was in high school and had my first date, went to the prom, and then someone else I went to homecoming with, and college dances and boyfriends along the way. I don't know how many guys I dated, but all of those relationships ended, right? Until I met my husband and got married. So we had lots of breakups along the way. And people just say, I'm sorry for you. You'll find the perfect guy, suck it up. You'll feel bad for a couple of days, but men are like buses. There's a new one coming down the street, whatever. But if you share that you've had a friend that went from being someone you trusted to someone who stabbed you in the back, then there's some, you need therapy, right? And I'm saying that because that's what people have told me. So I did a video, right after I made the channel public, about why I have decided I don't need a best friend. And I shared a story from years ago. If I share a story that happened to me in the 40s, it's like, and many of you have shared stories from when you were 20, when you were 30. Okay, that doesn't scar us for life. We're allowed to have friendships that don't work out. And some of them are not pretty when they end, right? Others just simmer out. No different than guys, men we've dated along the way, right? 90% of them end with a farewell, it's been nice to know you. And then there's those couple that didn't go so well. But why is it such a trauma dump when you say you've had a relationship with a woman that went south, or when you share a story of a relationship that wasn't what you thought it was? I do not think, nothing against therapy. Therapy is great, especially if you're in a pattern that is hurting the life that you want to live. If you are consistently making errors of judgment yes, maybe that means something else is going on. But not all of us were fortunate enough to grow up in the same town and have met a little girl at the bus stop, going to kindergarten, who is our lifelong friend. I've shared, and many of you have shared, that we moved all over the country. We didn't have the luxury of, picking one or two people and sticking with them. And I would say for the women that had that experience, oh, yeah, wow. I think that's wonderful. And I know a lot of effort went into maintaining those friendships, but there are just as many women who met someone in elementary school and were friends for 20 years and then things went haywire. We are allowed to fail at our friendships with other women. We are allowed to categorize those relationships, whether we want to call them pals or acquaintances or a good neighbor, a mentor, a colleague, a great friend, a good friend, a best friend. It doesn't matter. Why are we in 2024? Why are we being judged? Why are we being told that there's a problem with us, that we need therapy, when it happened 20 years ago, 30 years? For me, college was 40 plus years ago. It's a long time ago. We've got to stop the blaming and the shaming of women when it comes to their relationships with other women. We've got to stop telling women, especially our young girls, that it has to look a certain way. Because if we do that and their life doesn't match up, maybe they don't want to have two or three friends. Maybe they want a more solitary life. Maybe they want acquaintances that are doing shared interests rather than someone who they, talk to on the phone every day. Or I guess they text a couple times a day. Because what happens is those young girls then grow up to be 60, 70, 80-year-old women who feel like we just didn't cut it when it comes to female friendships and relationships. Like we weren't likable. We weren't lovable. We weren't anyone worth inviting. And I think that we're way past that. We're supposed to be the modern women. Women can do anything. We can try anything. We can own our own businesses. We can climb to the top of the corporate ladder. But what no one likes to talk about is how we treat each other in the interim. Our personal relationships, our friendships, our connections with other human beings can often be just as important part of our life as our accomplishments. Whatever those accomplishments are that you have chosen to try to reach for in your life, whatever ladder you are trying to climb or not climb. It's so dated. It's so antiquated. Pointing that finger at a woman and saying, you need a therapist, you have a problem. And again, therapists do wonderful things. But when I cannot listen to a podcast without hearing a commercial for online therapists, then at some point I get the message that somebody's trying to tell me that I've got problems, that we've all got problems, and we shouldn't be talking to other human beings. We should be, or just friendly human beings, we should be talking to a therapist. So I think it feeds into that whole narrative that women just can't give each other a break. We're just too hard on each other. And quite frankly, any friendship that I've had in my life or relationship with a colleague that didn't end the way I wanted it to, or maybe it ended, period, and I was disappointed, okay, we learn from that. We become better, we become stronger, we move on. So yes, if you have a pattern that's destructive, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the ebb and flow of life. As the seasons change, as we change, we've heard from so many women who've gone through very difficult illnesses, chemo, cancer, surgeries, and they all say the same thing. Most of them lost the friends, or the friends just kind of disappeared. And you might say, well, they were never friends to begin with. Well, okay. I don't think I would go that far. What I would say is I think as women, we can do a much better job of being supportive of other women, of being kind to other women, and to treating other women the way that we want to be treated. Well, thanks for listening to my rant. So I appreciate it. We'll get back on a more sedate topic next week or next couple of days. But I hope you'll click like and subscribe. I'm enjoying our growing community, and I look forward to talking to you next time. And if you run into a woman, give her a nice compliment. Take care. Have a great week.